Hey everyone, welcome to More Than Meets These Guys. This podcast is a journey through Transformers from the beginning of the animated series, with two old friends coming at it from different perspectives. Together, we will go episode by episode with the occasional extra to look at how the show holds up or if it's a trap of nostalgia. We'll be looking at all things involved in the episode, whether there were real world factors that crept into the writing or the episode was typical afternoon cartoon fodder. I'm Evan, I'm the lifelong fan. I'm familiar with pretty much all aspects of the franchise, while Ed is familiar with Transformers, but it was really something he never got into when he was younger. So thanks so much for joining us. Ed, man, I hear you had a little trip to a local I guess secondhand toy store a little while ago.
I did. I did today actually. I just posted it in the Discord. First, before I get into that though,
Yeah.
uh, thanks a lot to Boo for filling in for me last week. I had some things going on that are not so much better, but are maintained. So I'm doing much better than I was.
Good. We all
Um,
we all need time off some every so often for certain things in our lives, so by all
yeah,
means.
yeah. But Boo did a great job, and thanks again, buddy. We really appreciate you. But yeah, I went to a local toy shop, toy shop, and I was checking out some old classic GI Joe stuff. My son is really into Lego minifigures. Is his thing. Right? He's trying to build up like an entire army of these things. So every time we go, he gets a couple of these things. Like he's got a bunch of Lord of the Rings dwarves are kind of this thing right now. He's trying to have like a whole army of these little dudes. But that whole thing's a slippery slope for me because I look at these things that I liked when I was a kid or things that I maybe wanted when I was a kid, and I'm like, well, I'll just get one of these things. I've talked about this before. I'll get one of these things, and then before I know it, it's like I'm just a full blown like collecting mask or more precisely, what I probably would get into is 80s GI Joe. Because I'm like, oh, I'll just get the figures. No, that's a lie. No, I won't. Because before I know it, it's like, well, I'll just get series one vehicles. I'll just get the tank and the jetpack and the motorcycle and I'll just get those guys. And like that's also a lie because I have to have the Sky Striker. I absolutely have to have the Sky Striker. I have to have the Cobra Rattler. But something I saw that I have not seen in a very long time, and I don't know that I've ever seen one of these in person because in the late 80s they took a bunch of the old toys and they started like doing like new colorways with these things, and they took like but they always flopped who got what. They took like GI Joe stuff and they gave it to Cobra, and they took Cobra stuff and gave it to GI Joe. So they took a Cobra Rattler, which is a sort of modified A10 Warthog, and they painted it yellow with tiger stripes and they had it in Tiger Force.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was, yeah, but they also took like the Cobra Night Raven and they made it silver, and that was in about like Battle Force 2000, and they did that with a lot of these things. You remember that? Remember that?
I do remember that actually. There were some great things from I think Battle Force 2000 is when they took like they had like alien monster things along with the figures, and they had like there was almost like outer space stuff, and there was just giant mech things. It was all kinds of weird stuff. They were just kind of throwing whatever at the wall until it stuck.
Yeah, they had like a whole alien like
Yeah.
invasion or something like that coming, but they had all the little sublines at that point. They had like Eco Warriors and
Oh,
Ninja Force.
yeah.
Those were all like new figures and new molds and stuff. But like those other ones are those like Battle Force 2000 and Tiger Force were like just straight up. They just took like the old toys and just like
Mhm.
recolored them, and kind of bizarre, but really like that Cobra Rattler in the Tiger Force pattern looks so cool. Like
Yeah.
I thought it was dumb when I was a kid because I was like, oh, I've already got that. I don't need another one, especially not with that color scheme. I'll tell you what, buddy. Like mid 40s me is like, man, I need that cool tiger stripe Cobra Rattler. So yeah. You got any cool any cool like weird
Oh
like
yeah.
rebrands like that toy
Oh,
lines did?
100%. I was gonna say also real quick, I think they did the opposite side was like Kerber had the Viper Force or something like that. And like, remember the Conquest X70 or whatever, the front wing swept wing jet?
Yeah, the X30
Yeah, X30. Thank you.
Conquest. Yeah,
They redid that in like these like red with like I don't know, this like yellow grid pattern, and it was just I guess it was the
I think
Viper
that was
Force.
called Python Patrol.
That's what it was. Python Patrol. I mean,
I thought, yeah, that was like
Viper Force,
a
Python Patrol. You
yeah, I
know,
think that was like the Cobra Special Forces or something
yeah,
like that. Not that
yeah, same kind of
like a
thing.
terrorist group needs special forces.
They I think they like blended with the DNA of I don't know. anyways, it was one of those like, well, okay, man, whatever. Let's sell some more things we had. Of course, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna go right to the elephant in the room behind me. Uh, they had a lot of stuff with I guess Transformers over the years it changed. They tried some things with it. They tried making pretenders, which were robots inside a dude with like arms that can swing up and down and had things. Anyways, then after
Wait,
that
wait, what? What?
pretenders.
What was that?
You had this robot that looked very much not like a Earth jet or something. It looked like almost like an alien ship or an alien tank or whatever. And they would go inside this almost like a clamshell thing of a dude on the outside. Like they had I'll show some to you later. People who know what pretenders are. Yeah,
So
they also they were like the size of almost like the size of He-Man, a little taller, but their legs didn't move. They only had like arms that move. Like the Decepticons had like mythical monster looking things. Like they had like a one that looked like it's like a sea monster. One that looked like a almost like a vampiric looking thing. One that looked like a wolf. Anyways, yeah, there was like the protector shell on the outside kind of thing. It was a weird gimmick. It
that
went on
sounds
for a little
real.
while. Yeah,
That
it's
sounds real bad.
yeah. Well, sometimes they're really cool, sometimes really bad. Luckily, the show Master Force in Japan made them look really much better. Then like they did things like they had the Micromasters for like little guys. Like I've got some up here, like guys like this small, and they have like big bases and stuff with them, which kind of worked out well. Once again, Japan did it much better than different ways. So then they did the worst thing they could have done for transforming toys is they took away the transforming gimmick. They made Action Masters, which were little guys about this tall. I've got some in the other room. I mean, they were say about this tall. They didn't really transform, but they had vehicles and like weapons that transformed us. I don't know. It was bad. They were trying to find some ways to make the thing fresh. Unfortunately, when you don't have transforming Transformers, it kind of dies. So there was a little break. Japan is still going on with their stuff, and they came out with the Transformers Generation 2. Transformers Generation 2 is real fun because you had like a lot of the toys came out were close. Like you had Inferno, the fire truck transformer. It had like a squirting gun thing with it, but otherwise it was pretty much the same. A few like different, like there's no metal on them and stuff. It was all plastic.
Mhm.
Or Sideswipe looked much better. They came out with a black, like they inverted the colors. Like instead of a red um Lamborghini with black and white interior pieces for the robot, it was a black Lamborghini. Or no, God, Ferrari. Is Ferrari? God, I'm okay. I'm
He's
a
a
terrible
Lamborghini.
fan.
He's a Lamborghini Countach.
He is. Thank you, God. I'm going through the cars in my head. Yeah, black Lamborghini with red, like mostly red, and then some white pieces inside. So the color version was kind of nice. However, they also came with those great little things from the '90s where it was a big spring-loaded cannon with these long missiles that were like the one was
No.
like lime green, one was like I don't know, like a fluorescent blue. It was terrible. Um, and then they did things like that. And then they released like the Dinobots with like where they'd be all silver before, then like now Slag was green or Snarl where it was like a brick red almost. They
Mm.
did Grimlock like a turquoise, and then they did a like a regular like a royal blue, and then they did this weird thing where they had them very limited as just the regular grayish silver color. They did all kinds of weird things to try to rebrand it, and some worked, some didn't. I mean, they had some really cool things come out in Generation 2, like the Cyberjet guys. They had some cool stuff come out. Then they had some really weird stuff come out, man. So I mean, there's a lot of that. Anything else you can think of that, maybe like, not even toy things that get rebranded that you've in your purview?
Something. This was kind of a phenomenon in the '90s. I remember a lot of where toy companies would take like the mold of a toy and use it
Mhm.
in a completely different line. Remember the one that kind of strikes out a lot to me is when Robin Hood Prince of Thieves came out. They had a Robin Hood hideout. Do you
Uh-huh.
remember this thing? And
Is
it
that the
all it
Ewok
was
Village?
it was the Ewok Village from Return of the
That's
Jedi. It was straight up just the Ewok Village. It was that. I remember the Ninja Turtle van.
yeah.
used to pop up in a lot of other toy lines. Like they used that mold over and over. Because I think like was it Playmates? I think made those Ninja Turtles
Yeah,
figures,
they did.
and they were honestly kind of like a lower tier company, you know, and like at the time.
Yeah, at the time it was a weird thing, but yeah, you'd see a lot of those things pop up. I mean, you'd see some of those molds for the some of the turtle extra characters show up in like knockoff toy lines a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, one that was. Oh, you got any more? I'm sorry, didn't cut you off.
No, I do remember. There was like a God, I can't remember. I can't remember what it was from, but there was supposed to be like a this space fighter that was supposed to come out for Aliens, and it looked really cool, but it wasn't to scale of the Aliens figures. It had like a tiny figure, which you lost me if you do that. But I really wanted to own it because it was a cool looking ship, but it never came out for Aliens. Because I remember seeing the commercial for it or seeing it like in like ads, right? But or on the back of boxes, but it never came out. But then later on, they redid that mold and it came out for like the Starship Troopers.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh. I never saw that figure. I never saw Starship Troopers figures either. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Starship Troopers because I think
that
it ended up being called like the. I think it was initially called like the evac fighter for Aliens was what
yeah,
it was supposed to be called, but then it was called
yeah.
the TAC fighter in Starship Troopers, something like that.
It's completely impossible, man. That was a weird time for the toys were just kind of. I guess I was kind of still looking at them a bit, but not really. Like not like I did later. So
mm,
very likely. Um, yeah, there's a lot of weirdness there in the 90s. I'll tell you another one that it was kind of neat because he gave us a second chance on a lot of things. Is I love I've said it many times. I love the show Exo Squad, and the figures are really neat. Actually, I think it's another Playmates line that came out, but they were actually really good.
I think you're right.
Um, the figures were like I guess they're this means nothing on camera. They were GI Joe was like what 3 1/4. They were probably like 2.5 inch tall figures.
They were like between Mask and GI Joe. I
Yeah,
think
they
like
were
Mask
definitely
were
about
like
that size.
Mask were real
They're
small.
yeah, they were articulated really nicely, just like GI Joes and stuff were. They did a good job with them, man. They all look like they got that like that buzz cut from like a neuromancer novel or something. They all look like they belonged in something like that. But so they had that line as they went later on. The whole thing with that whole property is weird, like because when they released the show and the toys and stuff, there was a whole thing with Faza with or Fasa, however you say it, with Battletech and stuff. And there's a whole lawsuit thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they took the chance, I guess all that near that end of the line was going on to start releasing Robotech toys. You'd have all the little Battloids that you see. God, you find me all the time at KB in Court of them all from our neck of the woods. But like any toy store like that, you'd find like marked down to $3.99 for like a right all the little Battloids that you'd have in Robotech. I remember though I got the Zentradi Battle Pod and I got the Officers Battle Pod under that line.
I bought both of those, and yeah,
Yeah,
I bought
I
both
got
of
the
those. I bought
Invid
the
Fighters.
I got the hover. Yeah, I got the hover tank. I got a lot. Yeah, I got a lot of that stuff. And what was funny is you mentioned FASA.
Yeah.
I guess I know that stuff as the Robotech stuff, and
Mhm.
so I bought all of it. And back in the '90s, I owned a comic shop for a little while, and I sold toys in there too. I just sold a lot of my toys because I was just like whatever it takes to make money, I'm gonna do this. So I had a shelf just full of my action figures and stuff. And one day a guy came in and was looking at this, and that shelf caught his eye, and he was like, "Oh my god, you have a Marauder?" I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Dude, that's a Marauder from Battletech." And I was like, "That's an officer's battle pod, dude. that's technically it's called a Glaug or whatever the Macross name is."
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Oh my god, you also have a," and he's going through the Battloids, and he's all like naming them from the Battletech names, and
Yep.
I'm like, whatever you want to call them, dude. And he bought every one except for the Zentradi Tactical Battle Pod because that one was never in Battletech.
The
So he
one
bought
that
all of
didn't make
them.
it in there.
The one that wasn't in Battletech, he's like, "I don't care about that one." I was like, "Well, it goes with it, dude." And he's all like, "No, I don't want that. I want just the Battletech." So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
bought all
Like
this.
long
He
story
bought all
short,
that
that
Exo
stuff
Squad stuff.
though, FASA ended up losing that. They had to no longer have any kind of like mech design that resembled anything from any of the I guess from Macross or anything like that. They were forbidden to use any of those designs anymore. So they make all their designs just a little different. That's why they all kind of look weird now. I don't know, to me anyways.
Yeah, those are in Battletech fandom. Those are known as the unseen because for a long time, even in the books, they just wouldn't put a picture there.
Yeah, see, it sounds so ominous for something so stupid.
Yeah, exactly. And for a long time, those minis were going for a lot of money because they couldn't remake them.
Oh, that makes sense.
And they didn't really have the means to like redo the designs and all that kind of stuff. Because initially, when Battletech first came out, it was called Battle Droids, and
I do remember that vaguely.
yeah, and Lucasfilm sued them over that, so they changed it to Battletech, and they sort of had a licensing deal with like 3 different Japanese companies, and so they just used mech designs from Macross. I think Crusher Joe and one other show, and the Crusher Joe stuff like nobody cared about, so that they've just been using that stuff forever, and
Yeah,
like nobody cares.
exactly.
Oh yeah,
It's BattleTech for you though. I don't care either. So with those things, it's not my cup of tea, man. That's not my thing. They look cool. I like big robots. Whatever. Speaking of Bob, yeah.
that's I actually had a funny BattleTech encounter today. Actually,
Really?
yeah, I stopped by on my way home. I stopped by a comic shop and to pick up a couple things, and I ran into some friends of mine playing BattleTech, and I was like, "What year is it that you are playing BattleTech?"
Wow.
And it was actually pretty cool. I have another funny story about BattleTech that I'm not going to tell right now because we don't have time, because we've been wasted too much time talking about old toys. So I want to talk about David Wise though.
Yes, please do.
I'm gonna talk. Okay, David. Okay, so this is season 2, episode 10, Attack
Mhm.
of the Autobots, written by David Wise.
Yes.
I don't think we've talked about David Wise here in the past.
I don't know if we have. I know. Anyways, yeah, I don't think we have. I know of him, but go ahead.
So this is a really interesting guy here. This dude was a filmmaker when he was a child. He was making films when he was like 8 and 9 years old, like
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
doing yeah, and he was doing experimental animation with this stuff too, where he was like scratching on negatives and actually like drawing on like basically essentially what he was doing was like a kid's version of like rotoscoping,
Yeah,
where he
nice.
would film something and then like draw over it on the film, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Like there's no way I could have done that when I was a kid. I would have the
Patience.
presence of mind to do that. Like that's something that grown-ups do. I don't know how to do that. That's amazing. That is
Yeah.
super cool. So in his when he was a teenager, he decided he didn't want to be a filmmaker anymore. Despite having like a decent start in this, decides he wants to be a science fiction writer. That's his career. He wants to be a science fiction writer. So at 16, he was selling scripts to Star Trek the animated series.
Really nice.
Yeah. And that he went to a like this real prestigious sci-fi workshop, like sci-fi writers workshop, and he got mentored by like Ursula Le Guin and Frank Herbert. And
Okay.
I'm like, I'm totally down with this guy. What a cool guy. Like, but then he went on to work in television. Like, I don't know that he ever actually wrote any novels or anything, but he worked in television. He wrote for Buck Rogers and Wonder Woman and a lot of that kind of 70s like genre stuff. And then in the 80s starts to work in animation, works on Transformers, a bunch of stuff from around that time. Does He wrote a bunch of my secret favorite 80s cartoon, Jim and the Holograms. uh, and then he ended up developing and being the head writer for Ninja Turtles.
That's where I know his name the best.
And but he wrote for like tons and tons of stuff.
Nice.
What a cool guy. Passed away a few years ago from lung cancer, but
Oh, that's too bad.
yeah, did a ton of really cool stuff. Did a thing called I often forget about, called the Spiral Zone. You remember the Spiral Zone?
I don't remember the Spiral Zone. What was that?
It was some weirdo cartoon that lasted one season. That was some dude was like broadcasting that the villains were like broadcasting hypnosis rays from the Chrysler building.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
How cool
No
is
idea.
that? Yeah, and it was based on a Japanese toy line that Bandai did, and
Huh.
they were it looked pretty cool. I'll dig a little more into it later on, but it seems
Sure.
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So, Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so we are into speaking of big hulking robots and being weird and awkward. Attack of the Autobots, season 2, episode 10. So there are some times when some of the characters say things certain ways. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy." I mean, Jazz does it all the time. I can always hear Scatman Carruthers, always waiting for him to say something to Doc. But not really. Casey Kasem as Teletran 1 is just, man, he is owning the entire opening of this episode, just going off on it, man.
Dude, I thought he was about to announce the top 10.
I just said the same thing to my wife watching this. Like, holy
dude,
he
was just like, I'm out of voices. I'm just gonna read this slow and stilted.
Yeah.
So we drop right into this, and Prime and some other guys they're working on something.
Okay, so I'm assuming they're rebuilding the base again. Like we missed something where the Dinobots messed it up again at some point, and we're gonna go past that because obviously it happens every week.
It almost, like, at first I thought there was like an arm on that table, like a robot arm on the table, and I was like, are they building a new Autobot? Are we getting a new character here? But no,
that always goes really well.
Yeah, we don't get a no. It was they were just working on something, and then Teletran 1, like within seconds, it was like Decepticons are attacking, and so of course Optimus Prime's response to this every time. You want to guess what it is?
They gotta transform and roll out.
Transform. Like, no matter what's going, transform, guys, transform.
Dude,
like,
this is when I'm running out there. It takes too much time.
there's
their ability. They transform. They're highlighting the brand. He is a top level marketing genius. Transform.
See, but see, here's the thing: is so they transform into cars and they're driving down this rocky road here. I'm gonna go get some ice cream after this. so like the Seekers are attacking him, but like they don't transform and like fight or anything. They just keep driving.
Mm-hmm.
They just keep driving until there's a roadblock, and then I guess Jazz is like, well, I guess I'm gonna transform into a robot and fly up in the sky and fight these guys.
Oh, it was actually, I think it was Prowl. Actually, no, it was Prowl.
Yeah, it might have been Prowl.
Thundercracker shoots the side of a mountain and rocks fall, and he does this weird thing where he does a complete L, and not for the kids, not a L as in a loser. He pulls a complete L. He jackknifes immediately and drives up, and then transforms, flies in the air, gets hit in the back by a Laserbeak or something like that. It was a weird whole sequence of thing. Like he drove so fast, I guess he flew. I don't know.
Jazz spent like 15 minutes constructing like a bola to shoot out of his cannon. He's got to hook a cable to it. He's got to hook it around here. He's got to twist it around. It was like, meanwhile, Decepticons could have blown him up.
I got to stop you, man. It's Prowl. It's Jazz comes in later, dude.
Was it Prowl? Dude, I wrote, oh God, dude,
your notes are terrible.
This is what happens when I take a week off.
Actually, I said, it looks like Prowl is like attaching a model rocket to the end of his rifle to shoot. It looks like what does this guy have? It looks like one of those like weird, janky later model rockets that didn't really fly straight, but it was like about putting the model together.
It's like he's in the gate. He's gonna shoot that demon.
Yeah, he's gonna shoot the demons. So yeah, man, he shoots this like model rocket bolo thing on the end of his rifle at Laserbeak. Snags him.
Tangles his foot up, and it stays this way for like 4 hours. Like he's just tangled up, and it's just like it's like he's fishing in the sky with him.
Yeah,
this is hilarious.
So
Prime and Ratchet just get totally bodied by the Seekers. The Seekers are just like they're just pouring on these two guys.
They are, and there's this whole thing where Soundwave is Rumble and Laserbeak go distract the Autobots. Why? They're already in the middle of a battle. Why do they need the distraction now? They're already being distracted. So that would seem kind of superfluous to me. And like Prime says, my warn diode is pulsating.
Warning diode? Where was this before?
And there's a lot of things that are never before and never after in this episode. So
where was this every time he gets blown up?
Yeah, something.
Like, oh man, I'm gonna get blown up by Megatron again. I better my warning diode. Yeah, so this is like, I'm not sure what happened here. The Decepticon. Oh no, I do know what happened. I do know what happens here. So there's what was the deal? They have like the the invisibility spray. Is that what happens here?
Yeah, okay, before that I gotta throw this in there because it was so weird. So yeah, there's a whole thing where Skywarp like shoots at Optimus Prime and Ratchet. Prime grabs Ratchet like he's saving a damsel in distress and leaps and throws Ratchet out. And they land and they look up and Rumble doesn't say anything. He goes, "Bye bye, baby." No weird rat battles. He just is like, you're done. And
It was so
opens
weird.
Earth up. They fall in. So that happens in that scene. But yeah, somehow, suddenly, Megatron has a invisibility gas gun. Where has this been? He said he's been waiting for the right opportunity. Dude, go
Every opportunity is the right opportunity to be invisible.
wait till they're playing football or basketball or some stupid thing they're doing. Spray yourself with invisibility gas. Go there, put bombs in the base.
Anything. See, also, if they had this, why do they need this big distraction? Why can't they just make like Laserbeak invisible and send him in? He gets in there all the time. He's in there. He's in the arc more than a lot of the Autobots are.
Him and Ravage, or hell,
and Ravage. Just send them both in there. Spray them.
Just put the transform on the ground sound wave. Be in front of Spike. He'll pick you up. It happens every time. And so apparently, okay, so I wrote down that Starscream either has a fanny pack in his chest or he's always carrying a personality destabilizer in there. I don't know which one it is. I just happens
he's got
to
like
have
a little. He's got like a little little storage thing in the cockpit. There, it opens it up and
opens
like
his chest up. There you go. So yeah, there's that. And okay, after that, Rumble's over there looking in the ravine. He's been waiting a little while. He was like, "Well, they've been falling for a while, haven't they? I haven't heard them hit bottom." And they both do the superhero leap out of the ravine because apparently he can't see past like a foot in front of him.
It's dark. It's real dark in there, man.
I guess so, man. They jump out and punch him like together, like I don't know, some weird Superman, Iron Man punch out of the ground.
Yeah, that was real 1980s comic books. When that happened there. Hey, speaking of dark though, this is a real dumb story, but back in the day when I was playing with toys with my friends, one of us came up with the idea that we were like, well, like my spaceship has like light speed and it goes this fast, and so somebody came up with the brilliant idea that one of their ships had dark speed. Obviously, since light speed is very fast, dark is obviously faster. So he had a dark speed drive, and maybe that's why you couldn't see past it. Maybe they have a dark speed drive.
That could be. I mean, maybe there was at the time when you realized that X-wings have hyperdrives.
They don't. Anyway, the Decepticons pull this plan off where Megatron puts he sabotages the recharge chambers, which we've never seen before. We've never seen these things before. Nope. It's like it's like the little sleep pods from Alien. They're gonna go into hypersleep.
And you would think you would have seen these things before because they're huge.
And they're right there. They're right there in front of Teletran 1.
Yeah. But I guess I don't know. That's right. They come out of the ground. Apparently there's a console and they flip on out of the ground. Yeah, we've never seen these before. And by the way, I'm just gonna tell you, I don't think you ever see them again.
There's only two of them. Only two guys can sleep at a time.
Well, they're not really efficient at this. They just everyone takes a little nap and the next people get in. So maybe that's why you don't ever see like 4 or 5 Autobots together at a time, because the rest of them are recharging and they're in line to recharge.
The other two. Oh yeah. Maybe so. Maybe they should build some more instead of building nanobots that wreck their whole thing every week.
That's my own fan canon now.
What's that?
Yeah. So the Autobots are really confused about what's going on after they get back.
Huh? So am I. But hold on. Before that, though, we get some trash talk here. We get Brawn saying he's going to give someone a nickel-plated knuckle sandwich. They've used that one before. Yes, and they're recycling the taunts here at this point, which they've done the past couple of episodes, and that's fine. So, but there's this weird thing here where Rumble is kind of facing off with Ratchet. They're kind of like wrestling, almost like trying to get into like a wrestling match, right? And so they call the retreat for the Decepticons. So Rumble does this thing where he's in the robot form. He just transforms into a tape and falls on the ground. But then Ratchet somehow turns into like a grandma from an infomercial, and she's like trying to open a bag of chips, and he's just his arms around. He's like the grandma from the Clapper commercial. Like she couldn't clap off. And
Yeah, he does. He
so,
looks like he's got back problems trying to bend over and pick him up.
so, but then he just transforms right back into the robot and he flies away. Like,
Yeah. I saw that. Like, I guess it's clever. I don't know.
I don't
It's
know,
something.
man.
It's
That was pretty weird. But yeah, then the Autobots go back to the base, and
yes.
they're very confused about what's going on.
Like, why did they
Then
just leave? We're having a fight. They just left. Okay.
I don't know, let's go home. I guess they're going home. We're gonna go home.
Yeah. And by the way, Skyfire's there. He's suddenly back. I don't know where he's been on vacation for the last, several episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
I don't
Am
know,
I
man.
boring
He
you?
just no, no, no. I'm a little sleepy, man. I'm a
I
little,
can. I know. I'm just giving you
fine,
just
fine.
all right. So yeah, he's just suddenly back in the background, and they're all looking really confused at what's going on, why they left, dude. And I don't know what it is, animation or whatever, but Prime's talking, his mouth is just going like crazy. It's like it's really going. He's really bothered by this or something.
That was pretty funny.
And so it's hey, now it's time to recharge. They just had a big
Like,
fight.
no,
They're all tuckered out.
charge your batteries up, dude. Like,
So
oh, but what happens when they come out though? Their eyes turn red.
yes.
That's the universal symbol in a cartoon for somebody turning evil is that their eyes turn red, obviously.
And Teletran 1, way ahead of this time, starts doing the Autobot symbol all pride colors, and then goes and there's an evil presence in the base. Apparently he can read everyone's personalities are suddenly changed. He's flipping out. And I guess Megatron
Shouldn't he have been able to detect that when Megatron was in there?
he's a visibility spray, man.
Yeah, but he still detected an evil presence though.
Invisibility spray.
That's from visible light.
You don't know that.
So how invisibility works? He could have infrared scanned him and seen him there.
But he
could have heard like this 5,000-pound robot clanking around. That would have like told him
that stuff all the
clanking around in
time.
there.
He probably would have thought it was a Dinobot falling over in the back room somewhere where they sleep in that closet.
That's a very good point. It probably didn't have any noise on the
Dinobots sleep in their closet all day long. They eventually fall over because one gets off balance in the middle of the nap. So yeah, they and there's for some reason Megatron is talking to the Autobots, and Teletran and Megatron have this ethical debate about evil and nobility. And it's this weirdest exchange. It's almost like Teletran one's trying to suss out what makes something noble and what makes something evil. It was really awkward and weird. Would have been kind of cool to hear more of that, but whatever. But Megatron takes control and commands Optimus to take out Teletran 1, which he does. It's like a very Howl moment. He's like, no! And Prime punches the console as Teletran 1 does his best Howl impression as he giggles out, I guess. I don't know. It was weird. David Wise loves some sci-fi.
Yeah, I guess I mean, when you're mentored by Ursula Le Guin and Theodore Sturgeon, then yeah.
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 So now we have Jazz show up.
Okay, so Jazz shows up at this point, and he was animated a little. I think he was animated a little weird in this episode. He didn't like. I mean, he looked like he was supposed to look. He didn't look like wrong like he did in those early ACOM episodes. But yeah, so he shows up, but he's driving out in the middle of nowhere with Spike and Sparkplug to test out some new speakers he's got, and he just has these things pop out. They blast this mountain, and it's blowing up. But like, so Spike and Sparkplug are there with him, and they're like, "Oh, I can't handle it anymore." And even Spike is like, "I can't handle it anymore, but I love the music." And he's like, "But the thing is, they're standing right in front of the speakers. Like, go behind them."
Yeah,
it's still going to be loud, but you're not just going to sit there and like blasted right by this. Like, how many decibels is it? You think it's like 200 decibels, probably?
Oh,
it's
probably.
ridiculous how loud this is.
So, like, what was he had this jam band music playing through it also. It was like he was at a Fish concert just playing this like random guitar solo.
This was almost like what like a movie thinks like a rock and roll band sounds like. This is like exactly. Almost like like when the detective goes into like a bar to pick somebody up. They're like, this is the band that's playing. It's just just generic rock and roll music. Like there's always like that one dude with the sunglasses and the beard playing the saxophone. That dude.
Like,
Yeah, there's always that
he's
guy.
cool.
Yeah, there's always the guy in the tank top playing the bass. He's just
Yep.
this kind of like Steve Perry from Journey,
Oh
but
yeah.
he plays the bass, and yeah.
Yeah, so that's all happening, and he's like causing a rock slide, which apparently it's loud enough to cause that happen. So we kind of get a little the preview what's going to happen eventually, that he's going to do something with those speakers. But
Whose speakers are these?
what?
These are Chekhov speakers.
Oh, there you go.
Let's plant that.
Yes,
Plant that
yes.
for the end of the
Yeah,
episode.
there's a few that in this episode actually. They make it back to base, and Blue Streak is there, and his eyes are red, so something's about to go down. He starts shooting at Jazz.
He's just blasting.
Yeah. Okay, this is a great scene though. So Jazz is they Sparkplug Spike, they split up, and they're like, "Oh, something's going on with Blue Streak. He's all acting weird." Jazz is hiding behind this console or something, and there's a shake weight next to him. I don't understand where that came from. So he picks it up and throws it.
Maybe they were building that earlier. Right? That's what they were working on.
Building a shake weight. So he hurls a shake weight at Blue Streak, and kind of throws him off balance and stuff, and they subdue him. And yeah,
they hit his reset relay. Like, you can just like bonk a dude and turn him off. Apparently,
yeah, he hit that spot on on Data's head or whatever, and knocks him out. Into the Blue Streak. So this.
Oh God.
Teletrain 1, they fix Teletrain 1, and they're like, well, something's going on here. They fix him, and Teletrain 1 can see invisible Megatron now. Now that he's been repaired, he's kind of talking like kind of stilted, like he's not all there yet. Yeah. But now he's showing the closed circuit CRT of Megatron, like all outlined in his glowing outline, changing out the personality, the doohickey. I don't.
Yeah, whatever.
Destabilizer. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a new thing every episode at this point. The Autobots show up at a U.S. base, and it's a U.S. base because they got U.S. on their helmets. In case you didn't know.
Yeah, you gotta label all the soldiers, man.
Make sure they're not in a Russian base,
dude. So, man, Optimus Prime is just walking around, just like tearing planes out. He's just like flipping over planes and ripping them in half. This is real cool, actually. I like this a lot. This was pretty cool. I like it. I like anytime somebody's just making chaos like this, making mayhem.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say there's a scene where they all show up though, and they go through painstaking detail to show the transformation of Prowl. Like, he stands up and the legs flip around and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, that's kind of cool. They never really do that. Yeah. But here they decided to.
Yeah. You wanted to go buy that toy, no, didn't you? So I was like, yeah. I can do that at home.
There's a oh gosh. Okay, yeah. So they're beating at the base. He's like breaking jets over his knee, pretty much.
As I'm saying, he's just.
But he did. He was just like, that's another one. Bam! Like,
there's no defense in this place. There's no one's defending anything. Like,
and Hound and Ratchet show up at this research center where the Dr. Harding is I guess made her plans for the because by the way, the whole thing of this whole episode, they're going after the solar power generator satellite,
right? Because it's gonna provide all this free energy basically, and so
which comes in this later too.
So she picks. They go to a shot of her, and Dr. Harding, by the way, is she's a real GI Joe looking character. She looks very much like the Baroness,
completely with glasses and everything.
She's like the Baroness, but with like Scarlett's hair almost, or like Lady J's hair.
Lady J's hair, yeah, short.
She's very much like the I don't know, like the 80s like scientist that's like secretly hot, but they have their hair's up in a bun with glasses on. The one I'm talking about. So.
Yeah, she's a badass, by the way.
Does she show up again, or is this the only?
No, I think it's the only time she shows up,
because she's real cool. They should bring her back. I like her.
Oh, so yeah.
But she's on the phone and she's just talking and not letting whoever she's talking to, she's not letting them say anything. She's just like, oh, they want to see me there. Okay, cool. All right. Well, all right. Oh, thank you very much. All right. Well, wonderful. I'm
totally listening to you right now.
It was like just having somebody talk at you. It was hilarious. And so she leaves, and the Ratchet is like crawling down this hallway. This was cool because it showed the scale finally. They didn't just have him like walking or like a giant hallway, like of him strolling. He's like crawling. It's like John McClaning through this thing. Like This was cool. And
There's a whole thing right before this happens though. Their PA goes over, warning, a party of any Autobots is attacking. And Dr. Harding's like, enemy Autobots. What could they be after here? And she looks at her plans like, what do you think they're after? The enemy Autobots. And I like how they give that prefix to Autobots because it's a descriptor, because I guess they're all usually nice, but these are the enemy ones. And so yeah, she like looks out the hallway and Ratchet's doing this hulking Frankenstein thing down the hallway because he's so tall. It was kind of cool to see that. Like you said,
it was cool. And he looked real scary too, because they drew his face kind of Jack Kirby looking, like he had like the kind of like expressionless like face, like an original Sentinel, or like something from New Gods almost.
Yeah,
it was really cool. He had the Jack Kirby pose too, with the tilted head and the hand coming forward. It was pretty cool.
That actually, wasn't it?
But so Dr. Harding sees this happening and she's not having this, so she smashes a window out and jumps and lands on like a picnic table umbrella. But dude, she pulls the most stone cold thing after this. She looks up at him with the blueprints in her hand and just like taunts him. She's just like, ha ha ha.
she gets activated. She gets Jason Bourne, breaks the window, jumps like 3 floors, lands on that umbrella, and shakes the plants out of him and runs.
Dude, I need like a series of her. I need like Dr. Harding action scientist. Like
that was great. Dude,
this is so
it's
cool.
Like a Venture Brothers character or something. It's fantastic.
God, she's way better than Chip Chase.
Oh, 100% better. And that's not because he's handy capable, because he's just Chip Chase.
Oh, he's boring. Like give Dr. Harding like a mecha suit or something and let her like
oh man, she should have been doing that.
All kinds of stuff. It'd be great.
Replace Sparkplug. Put her in there.
Oh, for real.
Yeah. So we go back to Optimus at the base. He's going to destroy. Look, none standing against us. No one's standing against him. That's where he breaks the jet over his knee.
But when he says that, he first of all he's smashing these jets, but he cups this like power squat, like he's the singer from the band Manowar almost. Yes. Like he's
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But he says, "Let none stand against us," but the subtitles say, "Let me stand against us." Like, okay, dude, if you insist on standing against yourself, then go ahead and do this. That's fine.
I mean, yeah, I guess. So back at the Autobot base, Sparkplugs has invented the thing that's going to save them. It looks like an Autobot version of an interrogator drone from Star Wars: A New Hope.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess he makes like he makes one of these.
He made like 700 of them.
At first, he made one. And so I guess it's supposed to fix all the bad thoughts of the Autobots and like replace with good, noble thoughts.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like I guess it just like short and like I don't know. For being a sci-fi writer, like my man didn't really, Mr. Wise didn't really do a whole lot of science fiction in here. He could have like short-circuited and rebooted the personality chip. That would have been way more.
Maybe he was writing his sci-fi. Well, he could have been writing his pilot for Dr. Harding, action scientist, and not really caring about the rest of this episode. And I'm behind that.
If that would have happened, he did write Doctor Who though for a little while.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. I don't care because I don't like Doctor Who, but
yeah. Okay. Everyone who was listening to the show, don't hate us because of that. It's just Ed doesn't like what he doesn't like.
Doctor.
Anyways,
I don't like hyperdrives and X-wing fighters either.
They don't exist. Yeah. They I guess Blue Streak wakes up like as we have someone to try it out on, and they like attach it to his leg. He shorts out for a second, and all of a sudden he's cool again. He's nice.
Yeah, he's just back to normal. He's
as easy as that. I guess there are personalities in their leg. We cut back to Hound is trying to find Dr. Harding, and there's this. It's kind of It's kind of like gruesome in a way. He goes and he's chasing her down the road. She jumps into the second dumpster and she's hiding in there, kind of looking out. He goes to the first one, picks it up, and just crushes it. And she's like looking at it going, "Oh, I'm about to get crushed. Awesome." And suddenly, Sparkplug shows up and attaches a thingy to his leg, and he's all okay again. Yeah. And but before that, he takes the dumpster and tosses it against the wall. But she's so cool. She is such an action scientist. She walks out and then she's good. Plans in hand.
No, she's awesome. She's awesome. There's a cool little scene of Prowl smashing some fighter jets. He is massive compared to these jets.
And he shouldn't be at
Like
all.
he is huge.
He's a Dodson.
He's
There's
a
no reason.
280Z. He's a 280Z or 240Z,
Fair
right?
lady.
And like he's smashing up what are these fictional planes that I guess are supposed to be like proxy F-15s or whatever. And the thing is,
Yeah.
I've sat in an F-15. Like I've said before, I'm a huge airplane nerd, and like I have sat in an F-15, and those things are massive. They're huge planes, and so the whole like nose section, you could fit a car right there. Like they're so big. So there's no way that he should be this big, and he's just like towering over these things, and like and I'm like I don't know. It was still cool to see him just making chaos though.
We cut to a scene where there's this bomber flying, these guys flying a bomber randomly, and Skyfire is over top of them, and he is massive. It's like the shadow over this bomber. Bombers are huge.
Bombers are huge.
Shadow over top of the thing, and I'm like, oh God. And my notes were, oh God, Skyfire is a terror. Dude, I would lose it if I saw that thing flying over me. Like, okay, aliens are attacking us, and I'm gonna die first.
Yeah, he was huge.
Yeah, and okay, so they're like, well, we should take care of him, and how do we do that? We'll shoot at him. So of course comes back around, and Hound gets the idea that he's like, I've got this magnetic, or no, my particle gun. This thing's magnetic, so I'm gonna shoot it out of my particle gun, be an okay shot, and I should be fine. And he gets close enough, he shoots them, and somehow he makes that perfect shot.
Mm-hmm.
Skyfire's okay again, and lands. Totally. They say, good, we need a taxi, so everyone get in.
Yeah, they had to get him first. They could get around. We cut to a cool scene of a bunch of scientists doing science stuff in like a control room, like a very NASA looking scene, which I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of mission control. That was neat. But then, so they decide that they're going to abort the launch for the satellite, the solar satellite, right? And so the second they're like, oh, let's abort the thing, Megatron smashes in a wall, and he's like, you're not aborting anything. And then he blows up all the computer screens. Bro, I think you just made him abort the launch. Like, how are they going to control anything?
I got to ask something real actually pretty important. I don't know, it's something I just realized when I was watching this episode also. Why does NASA like why does flight control, why does it look the same as it did when we were watching War Games? Like they look, every time you see a picture of like the room for mission control, they look like they saw the old computers still. I don't know if it's just because you think you do, and your mind's like, making that connection or something. But I feel like the whole room looks the same as it did in the 80s.
I don't know, man. Why bother? It looks good. It's already cool. Why?
Yeah, exactly. It looks cool. I'm expecting like a room the size of a football stadium to have the computer in there working with like reel to reels and stuff.
Yeah. Something else cool about NASA though, and relating back to what we were talking about with BattleTech earlier, with which we were saying was produced by the company FASA.
FASA, yeah.
Which in NASA is National Air and Space, or Aeronautic and Space Administration. FASA actually stands for Fredonia Aeronautic and Space Administration, which is a joke from the Marx Brothers.
I never got that. I love Marx Brothers, so
yeah, yep.
That's kind of cool. I'll give it to FASA for that one. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that. I forget it meant something like figure and something. I don't know. It's something stupid that.
Yeah,
Fredonia.
I never knew until like way later, and it was just some dumb in joke with like I guess like Lauren Wiseman or whichever designer headed him up at the time. So
yeah, props there. I had no idea that.
Yep. Yep. So, I was from Duck Soup. The Duck Soup. Yeah. Yep.
Which not my favorite of the Marx Brothers movies, but I know it. So yeah, really cool.
I don't know that I've ever seen it, to be honest, but
have you seen Marx Brothers at all?
I think I've seen like stuff like here and there. I don't know if I've ever actually sat and watched any Marx Brothers stuff.
Night in Casablanca and A Night at the Opera are my two favorites.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the Autobots get their sky taxi again, so they all load up and go to the Air Force base. And dude, they show up and start like shooting Autobots and clamping these interrogator droids to their legs, and they're all easily going down, except for Prime. He's the last one there. He does something he never does when he's good. Apparently, he's not capable of like backing into his trailer, opening the thing up, and have all three components come out and start attacking.
Yeah,
That was great. He's like a personal army.
yeah, that was that was a total toy ad too. Like I was like, oh, well, like well, if I don't have that already, I need that. Like
Yeah.
so
Like
yeah.
the little repair drone thing that's in the trailer that when you're supposed to take it as a Diaclone toy, you take and stand the trailer up on its on the I guess the footing of the trailer,
Mhm.
like where the nose of the front of it, and like like that, and stand up and you stand them in there with that drone that's attached. It's supposed to be like a repair drone. So that
Oh,
whole thing
okay.
is supposed to be like a repair bay for Convoy.
Oh,
This is the name of Diaclone. So yeah, they always use it as like a weapons platform, but honestly, it's supposed to be like a repair bay.
that's
So
pretty cool.
still
Huh.
cool stuff. Yeah, I'm a
Huh.
big fan of it. Um, Still cool to see this happening though. Like by the way, I'm also gonna say real quick. I'm having a Boo. He asked me if he'd like us to get screenshots for all these things we talk about in the for the YouTube video. So anyone who's listening, if you want to see screenshots, like kind of like showing what we're talking about, we're gonna put up on the YouTube videos. So yeah, he's gonna get me a screenshot of this three component thing, which I'm really a big fan of. So look forward to that. Anyways, back to this. Yeah, so I don't know how it was that I guess they've got to get like these different, I guess, I don't know, for better like a better term, non-evil devices just strapped to all three components when they could have probably done it to the like Prime himself and it wouldn't fine.
Yeah.
But they've got to do that whole thing where they're going to go up against the end. They're going to run out of these things to make Prime good again.
Well, it's a good thing they made two extras,
Yeah, exactly.
just in case, I guess, because you don't want that rogue dune buggy running around. Like,
Roller, the little drone, you don't want to run him by himself going evil. Maybe it's like
whatever happened to that guy? I haven't seen him in like a long time.
he's there. He's doing his thing, man. Maybe
Right.
he's got maybe he crochets or something in the spare time. I don't know. Don't beat him up for his hobbies. So all this is happening in the Decepticons are getting in that rocket at the base. They
Mhm.
rip open the side panel of the rocket and just climb in.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's like a floor in there. Like they're meant to be in there. Like there's a whole
Mhm.
cockpit area for like the size of the Decepticons. They just
Yeah, for
go on.
giant robots.
Yeah, of course. Obviously it's made for that.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so this whole thing happens that like okay, well, let me back a little bit up there. Optimus Prime is trying to fight the evil in him, and Bumblebee is I don't know, he's talking to him. This whole pregnant pause that Bumblebee could have just stuck the thing on his leg and fixed him, but I guess he wanted to Optimus Prime to battle his inner demons, his inner evil personality or something for a few seconds. And it was this weird, not necessary whole sequence, but you know,
Yeah, he could have
he,
just gone up and like
here you go,
clonked on him
done.
and
Yeah,
then done. So
he's gonna fight his evil, I guess. After that happens, they realize the rocket's taken off, and they all get in Skyfire and fly up to it. And like Prime and Ratchet jump out, so they can do like rocket surgery on this thing to take the satellite off the top of the rocket. So they're over there with a wrench, loosening up nuts on the outside of this rocket, which apparently that's how they attach satellites. I had no idea.
oh yeah.
And the
Just two bolts
Decepticons,
on the outside of it.
yeah, just a couple bolts. And the Decepticons see this, and they open the door, their little, I guess, bridge they have for the rocket that they're going to take back to Cybertron. Which, by the way, I don't know if they understand how rockets work. There's not that much fuel in a rocket, but whatever, man. So they start shooting up the rocket, and yeah, there's this whole thing where I don't know they're trying to not get shot, and the angle is all wrong, anyways. But they didn't stop them before, anyways, for these shows. And like Jazz does the most baller thing ever. He climbs out, climbs up on Skyfire's nose, transforms, pulls out the speakers. You talk about Chekhov's gun, and
Mm-hmm.
starts blasting jam band tunes at the rocket to disrupt the
Yeah.
rocket's fuel or something.
It just the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, it
Just
starts
like
smoking
chunks are
and
falling off of it.
Decepticons jump out and they're like, all right, we're done here. Let's try their next plan next week. And yeah, they get the satellite kind of loose on the top of it. And they get back in the Skyfire and they fly out into space and just Prime just throws it into space. And it's in orbit now.
So why don't they just let the Decepticons go? Is it that big a deal for them to go back to Cybertron?
They're going to take this solar energy satellite back to Cybertron and I guess get free energy. They're going to get green energy on Cybertron, something they needed the entire time. Once again, the Autobots are not for green energy.
Dude, the Autobots are in like Big Oil's pocket.
They are. They get the world energy chip.
I know, and they're not sharing it with anybody. It's like meanwhile they're still like supporting like Exxon. This is pretty much. See, I don't think they're as good as we say they are.
Man, this is Reagan's America.
They're using sonic weaponry. These guys are just as bad as the guys down at Guantanamo Bay. It's terrible.
This is the Havana, the Havana problem.
Havana syndrome or whatever.
Syndrome, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Recently, that isn't a real thing, but it was a kind of a cool idea.
Yeah. You must have listened to the same podcast I listened to.
Oh yeah. Yep. Podcast. Yeah. Yep. So they besides this one, of course, I also listen to every week. They threw the thing in the orbit, and like Ratchet and Sparkplug, or they get back to base stuff. Ratchet and Sparkplug are having like a unit measuring contest. I'm not going to say, the word I want to say, but they're like talking about how I always fix things. Oh, I always fix things. That's my job. That's my job. Oh, okay. Everyone, they're all special. You all have your job. Thanks a lot, everyone. It was the weirdest.
It was real weird.
And Sparkplug saved all their butts, so I don't know. He's griping about. He's going old grandma again. He's like, I do everything around here, and Sparkplug's like, no, I do. Anyways.
There was actually a pretty neat scene where once they turned Prime back to the good side, he like picked up Bumblebee like it was like his son. And he like picks him up, like under the arms. Like when you have a small child, you pick him up under the arms. He picked him up like that, but then he gave him a hug. He gave him a hug after that, and it was like, oh, that was pretty cool. He gave him a little squeeze.
He was little buddy a hug.
Yeah,
it was kind of weird and touching and awkward, but yeah, it was a nice scene.
Yeah, it was cool.
So that's it, man. That's Attack of the Autobots.
Attack of the Autobots. This was I'm gonna say that I expected a little more after learning about the pedigree of David Wise. I really expected a little more here, because essentially what this was about was a computer virus. And it was just basically a computer virus that infected all the Autobots' brains and made them, and turned them against what they're supposed to be doing, which at the time, especially at the time, was a very cool sci-fi concept. There were just times where I don't think it was carried out terribly well. There was some cool stuff in this. There was some pretty cool battles. I liked all the battle. I liked the Ratchet doing the weird infomercial grandma thing. That was pretty funny. I liked Dr. Harding. She was a very cool character, and they I feel like that's somebody they could have done a whole lot more with, and I hate that she doesn't show back up. Good guys going to the bad side is always cool sci-fi and cartoon trope. I like that. I got to see the cool mission control, so this was a pretty good episode. I'm gonna give it just because I don't think that it really reached the hold on. So my kid brain is gonna it was good. It was a good middle of the road episode. It wasn't anything top tier, but I definitely didn't dislike it. So kid brain's gonna go 3 rebranded Battloids. We're going to start with a Tomahawk, rebranded as the Excalibur, and then rebranded in Battletech as the Warhammer. So 3 rebranded giant Japanese robots out of 5. Adult Brain, like the concepts, just really wanted a little more thought-provoking stuff here. So again, I will go. I'll go 3 television pop show jam bands out of 5. 3 cop rock bands out of 5. Yeah, you're recovering. I think
You got it there, man. You finally you take your time getting there, but you got there. Okay, so this is weird. I have a much worse memory of this episode. I think maybe because watching it now, I'm watching it not I don't know, I'm not so much trying to relive like what I thought the past glory episode was. I'm just trying to like watch it, I guess, from a different perspective now because I'm trying to watch it like critically and like for like standalone episode. It was actually fun. I once again, like you said, I would watch was it Dr. what the heck's her name now?
Harding.
Um Harding.
Dr.
I would
Harding.
watch Dr. Harding, action scientist, all day long.
There's the
Yeah.
gem buried in there. You guys could have done something
She
cool. Has
should have shown up in
IDW
G.I.
or
Joe.
Dreamwave or anybody done anything cool like in comics with her?
Not that I know of. I may be wrong, and I'll check out later. Maybe I am. She
Mhm.
should have shown up somewhere else. Like the like cool action scientist who's men falling over her and
Yeah.
women want to be her kind of thing. I don't know. It's yeah, that was a great thing. Like you said though, like the ratchet scene, and I pointed that out in my notes too. The ratchet scene coming out of the hallway was really cool, really menacing.
Really cool.
That was actually the most menacing part of the Autobots being evil. The Autobots just causing havoc at the Air Force Base was just funny. I don't know. That was just the stupidest, most gonzo thing. This episode's full of weird gonzo 80s tropes that I loved. It was funny. Looking back at it being us a series and watching an episode to see whether, it's enjoyable, it's much better than trying to see, I guess a lot of fans of different mythos, different toy lines, different shows where they try to finagle and mold an episode into the grand scheme. There's no grand scheme here. It's stupid. Megatron has invisibility spray.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was real
yeah,
silly.
that makes a lot of sense. It makes as much sense as the Hal moment with Teletran 1. It makes as much sense as any of the stuff. It was just fun to watch though. I mean, Megatron and Starscream showering themselves with visibility ass was so dumb. And if they're so invisible, how do they see each other? Huh? Okay,
Yeah.
so anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe because but I did like it. There's that little point where he opened that chest cavity up, and you can see everything inside was not invisible. Nice thing they didn't try to like gloss over that, like, hey, everything's
That was
invisible.
kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, nice little attention to detail. Anyways, long story short, yeah, I like this actually more than I thought I would. I would give this a strong, 3.5 action scientists, Dr. Hardings out of 5.
All right.
Very worthwhile, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, so last week, of course, we went over the trailer for Rise of the Beast coming out. That's I had to teach myself really quick how to splice in the trailer for the upcoming movie and screenshots into the video on YouTube. So I'm gonna, from here on out, I'm gonna try to put in some screenshots of what we're talking about the episodes on the YouTube videos for people if they want to see that, kind of get a refresh their memories of what we're talking about. Which one of the scenes I asked Boo from the Axalon Underground to get for me was her looking up from the umbrella, holding the plans. So hopefully that came out.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah. For here we go. Once again, every week we gonna go over this. We have the link for the Discord in the notes. So if you want to come talk about stuff, it's fairly active at Discord for how many people we have there. Love to have you talk about all kinds of things. If you have your own kind of art you want to have, we have a little like a I guess category channel in the Discord for that. Just talk about random stuff, whatever. Show off your collections. It's a nice little community that's pretty active. Good stuff. And we also we have the Facebook group. Once again, that'll be in the show notes. And I want to also throw in there, I'm going to keep it in the show notes. Simon Letch, who has the Sunbow archive, I'm going to put his GoFundMe in the show notes. I know he's like raised a third of what he needs to keep a roof over his head. The guy has a great archive. He just added a bunch of new stuff as well. He's doing what he can to keep that thing going. And I want to see the guy who's really not asking for anything usually. Only I think the reason he's asking for this because he's needs a place to live. He's doing like a good service to all his fans out there. So if you can do anything, cool. If nothing else, spend some time on the website, see if you can get some clicks. Maybe it'll generate some funds for him. So I'm going to put that in the show notes as well. And really, we come down to the end of the day, we're all fans here of different things. You know, Ed may be fans of things and not fans of other things like Doctor Who, but that's fine, man. But at the end of the day, we're all fans of something, so it's just kind of cool when fans can support fans. Speaking of that, if you like what we do here on your podcast app, you know, give us some stars. 5 would be awesome, but you know, whatever you feel like we deserve, you know, put a little note in there, say something to us. Maybe we'll get to the point where we can, you know, do a little thing on, you know, if people leave a review, we'll read it on the podcast. Speaking of that, our emails are in the show notes also. So if you don't want to join a Discord or like us, you couldn't figure out how Discord worked at first, you just want to email us, completely cool also. And if you are on YouTube, you know, we might give us a thumbs up and, you know, share the episode on your Facebook feed or, you know, whatever you want to do. Got picked up a few new subscribers this week, which is kind of cool. But that's kind of how I'm going to leave it there. So anything you want to say at the end here, Ed?
Yeah. Before I do my dumb quote, I do want to say thanks a lot to everybody that reached out to me directly last week when I was going through some bad stuff, and that was really awesome and really unexpected. And you know, I had a lot of people just, you know, hit me up directly on various platforms and just see how I was doing, and it was very cool, and it felt really good. Thanks a lot, guys. That's amazing, and yeah, you all know who you are. But if I want to know what's on your mind, I'll splatter it on the wall and see for myself.
Nice. I think I know that. What's that from?
That would be a Blitzwing quote.
Nice.
I'm not sure what episode that's from, but yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. That's a very metal quote. And Blitzwing's also a very metal name.
It is, yeah, he is.
Yeah. So.
All right, everyone. See y'all next week. Thanks for being here. Y'all take it easy.
Roll out.
More Than Meets These Guys podcast is performed by Evan Johns and Ed Strickland. Research is done by Evan Johns, Ed Strickland, and with special research help from Boo of the AxalonUnderground.net. Graphics and images in the video portion are created for the podcast exclusively by C. Hooper. Special thanks to everyone who makes this podcast more enjoyable every week.